So to give you a lay of the land, we're going to start off. I'm going to give you sort of a very, very brief intro to Wave, what we do, and how we can help support your business. I'm going to turn over the presentation then to the Telrad team, composed of Bernie, Yishai, Alex, and they're going to kick us off into all things unlicensed 5 gigahertz. And at the end, we're going to have a Q&A session where you can pepper the folks with questions. So with that in mind, I'm just going to kick things off on the Wave side. So some of you may be familiar with Wave or NBSI Wave if you're from Canada, maybe not. And so I just want to shed some light on as to what we do. So we are a distributor on the infrastructure side, broadband, LTE, fiber solutions. And most folks, when they think distributors, they think the middleman. They think the go-between, the folks that are just shipping boxes to and fro on behalf of the manufacturer. And while there is some truth to that, I think that there is a lot more that we do, and there's a lot that differentiates us from other distributors. Because for us, it's not just about shipping you a product, making a purchase, engaging in a transaction, but really what we aspire to do is partner with you to help find solutions to solve problems and really to scale your business. So really quickly, I want to just touch on 3 things that differentiates us, maybe from other folks that you may have worked with in the past. So first and foremost, I just want to emphasize for Wave and NBSI Wave, we have the largest and most consistent inventory in the industry. So it's not just that we distribute products on behalf of Telrad and our other various 40+ manufacturers, but we have these items in stock, ready to ship when you need it. And it's not just that we have the CPEs and base stations and the solutions that Telrad offers, but we also have the complementary items that you need as well. So you think towers, you think surge suppression, cabinets, weatherproofing, cabling, everything and anything under the sun. So we really function as a one-stop shop for any and all of your infrastructure needs. So we have it all in-house, and we're able to run and we're able to get it done. And if we don't have it in stock, we will do whatever is necessary to get it to make sure that you're taken care of. So that's number one in terms of our logistics position in the industry. But as well, we offer a host of value-added services. We have a team of engineering specialists in-house, many of which have been around for 5 to 20+ years. And so we offer a variety of things. So for the license stuff, we have FCC license coordination. We have a predictive RF analysis network design services, so point-to-point, multi-point path analysis. Low-cost coaxial cable assembly. So we actually produce custom cabling in-house. So it's made with high-quality parts, US made, no tariffs, no fuss. And we're able to put them together to whatever specifications you may have, whatever the needs of the project dictate. So that is an option as far as producing custom cabling. Staging and configuration services. So we do all the configurations in-house, we ship it, and all you have to do is stick it up. And then as well, we offer a host of certified trainings, and webinars similar to the one that you're sitting in today. And there's a whole other variety of pre-sales and post-sales support that our engineering team would love to help you with and can be a resource for you. So you've got our logistics, you've got our value adds, but as well, we have a variety of financing solutions as well. So with partners like Leaf, for example, we occasionally do promotions where there's 100% financing with no money down for up to 90 days, and we run those promotions all the time. We also have E-rate opportunities, net 90 terms, and then depending on the needs of your business, depending on the project, we can work with you on terms and some of the other financing options we have available. So really in terms of what we do as a distributor, we don't just ship product, but we've got the engineering resources to help back your business. We've got the inventory in stock, so you're able to get the job done and service your customers adequately and quickly. We've got financing options to help support you. in times of constraint. And really, I think what makes us stick out is we partner with good folks like Telrad who are interested in educating the community, interested in scaling businesses and helping to implement solutions and providing alternatives for you to take into consideration. So if you have any questions pertaining to anything that we do at Wave or MBSI Wave, how we can help you, what your needs are. If you want to know more about our engineering services, shoot, if you need a quote, please do not hesitate to reach out. We're here for you, and we'd love to partner with you on any projects you may have coming up. And so with that, I am going to turn the presentation over to the Telrad team, again, composed of Alex, Bernie, and Yishai. Gentlemen, Alex, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, the floor is yours.
Awesome, thank you. Jamie, thank you for the introduction. I can definitely concur about the inventory, the value-added services, the net terms. You're absolutely, on point with the services and the impact that Wave and the value package that Wave presents to us as a vendor, as well as our customers. So thank you. I do appreciate everything that you guys do as a team as a whole. So on that note, would like to welcome everybody to our little webinar about the 5 gigahertz. Would like to introduce our team, North American team. Isha is our GM for fixed wireless broadband group. Bernie recently joined our team. Taryn is handling a lot of the marketing and other activities for us, as well as me, Alex, VP of Sales for North America. So Bernie, a couple of weeks ago, joined our team, and I would like to pass the microphone to him to kind of give a little bit of introduction. Many of you familiar with him. He is an industry, insider and a long-termer. So, I'm very kind of proud that he chose Telrad to join our team to continue with the growth. We had, just posted this morning our results for Q1, and they're nothing less than phenomenal. And we're very proud of what our team was able to achieve, turn the company around, turn it to profit, double the revenue, and so on. Bernie is going to be a big, an important detail in continued growth for us. So on that note, Bernie, if you don't mind taking a few minutes to talk a little bit about your history and your vision.
Thanks, Alex. I really appreciate that intro. Hi, everybody. My name is Bernie Vazenberg. I am the Director of Sales for Telrad. Thank you also to Wave for hosting this webinar. I've done business with Wave for many, many years. I trust them and value their partnership and their ability to support the Telrad products, both from a technical perspective and a stocking perspective. Wave definitely knows our industry very well and has supported our industry for now, I guess it's over 20 years. We've worked together almost just as long. I came to Telrad to help the growth. I envisioned over the last several months as I was deciding what direction I wanted to take in my career, I realized real quick that I think that LTE and standard-based product like this is definitely the way of the future versus a Wi-Fi based product in sub-6 gig unlicensed bands. Telrad is a purpose-built product made for service providers, built for service providers, with the ability to work in harsh RF conditions, the ability to be flexible with your spectrum. The obvious is also becoming a part of the CBRS vision, and Telrad's LTE is definitely a part of CBRS from a strategy and growth perspective. We work very close with all the SaaS providers and are really excited about the prospect of finally getting CBRS out to the masses. We are ready. Our product is tried and true. We've been around for a long time. And I'm excited to be a part of this team. We're restructured, re-energized, reinvigorated, all those fun words. And I think that, here coming at the end of the summer as CBRS finally gets out there, Telrad should be at the top of your list. We are a product made for this. We're excited to finally get to the point where we can sell CBRS into the market and sell a great LTE product that's ready for prime time. So with that, I'll turn it over to Alex to get into more of the technical details. But as I get more comfortable over the next several weeks, please feel free to reach out to me as well as Alex and Ishai and everybody on our team. We're here to support you, and we look forward to partnering with you guys. So with that, I'll turn it over to Alex.
Thanks, Bernie. I appreciate it. All right, guys. So please feel free to send questions in. Unfortunately, your lines are muted, but I would like to make this presentation as interactive as possible. So as questions come in, we will try to answer them in real time. Maybe leave a little bit of time towards the end. Let's see how it's going to shape out based on the progress. So to continue with the slide deck, for someone who doesn't like slides, everybody knows Telrad for its near and non-line of sight capabilities. So usually as well as price. So usually when you talk about Telrad, it's two emotions. Yes, we work under for more challenging customers, and we're expensive. So some of it is good, some of it is bad. But what we did not have last few years is any products that are operating in unlicensed frequency bands. We were covering the 365 gigahertz under the so-called old Part 90 rules. We had our EBS BRS system that was operating in 2.5 gigahertz. We didn't have anything in unlicensed, and there are some other phenomenal players in this market that had this market covered very well. We saw it as an opportunity to take our LTE system with the smarts that we have and the quality of the radio that we have and present for our customers in unlicensed in traditional 5 gigahertz band. But what we didn't want to do, we didn't want to just present a product. We wanted to present it as a part of the bigger puzzle, as well as our vision for of broadband, how things should be delivered, and so on. So on that note, there are going to be a few things that we will talk about in this presentation, obviously about the unlicensed, the advantages, as well as at the end, we will cover a few case studies. So few things that come in mind when we talk about unlicensed is obviously non-line of sight and interference. Two major factors. Doesn't matter where you are operating in 5 gigahertz, interference very likely is something that you have to deal with. And that impacts quality of the link, that impacts number of customers that you can support in the sector, that impacts how often you will deploy the base stations, and so on. So Telrad, through the nature of the LTE as well as smarts that are built into the system, presents quite interesting solution, how we deal and mitigate interference, how we deal with interference and mitigate effects of it. So, and the system works like no other existing on the market today, due to the way that LTE frame is composed on the physical and MEC layers, to the fact that system comes is a dual carrier system, and we can support 2 non-contiguous channels that can be spread between low band 5 gigahertz and upper band 5 gigahertz. Due to the fact that we can support from the box the upper 45 megahertz and the 45 megahertz and 5.9 that just opened up. So small things, they play a big role in overall link availability, as well as quality of the radio. You hold Telrad system in your hands, and you feel it's a quality product. Anything from quality of the radio, that we can support lower CINRs, SNRs, to the way that we manage heat and so on. So it all results in more customers served with fewer units deployed, and it changes the business case for many of the customers. And often people will hear me saying, "Hey, it's a cultural change." People that haven't used Telrad, regardless if it's licensed or unlicensed, moreover in unlicensed, moving into the Telrad, it's a cultural change, because traditional mindset where you have to have more POPs, points of presence, the base stations, into fewer consolidated mega towers or metro towers that will cover more subscribers. It takes a little bit of time. It takes different financing models, and that's where, again, importance of Wave with bringing the either short-term or long-term financing directly or through the partners becomes extremely important, because it does require higher capital investment, but the total cost of ownership is making sense, because equipment stays on the tower longer, it serves more customers, and once you turn profitable, it just continues to stay on the tower and serve you longer. You don't have to generally don't replace Telrad every 2-3 years. It stays on the tower 5 to 7 years and serves you well during that time. So it does take a cultural change. It does take a little bit more math to see what exactly makes sense. So Telrad is a TD-LTE system. In unlicensed frequency bands, we see the best way to deliver capacity is via time division duplex, where you use same channel. And if you need 2 channels, it means that you're doubling capacity. When we double capacity, it's not just it may be a redundant factor, where one channel may have a higher interference than the other channel. So you still maintain the connectivity, even if if you are not able to deliver full capacity, you still maintain connectivity or higher quality connectivity versus a single carrier system. So that brings us into the next slide as far as concept of LTE. And many people did not have success with LTE primarily because of the connectivity between the base station and evolved packet core. So often earlier adopters of LTE technology often had a bad taste because the backhaul was inadequate. So Telrad changed that concept dramatically by introducing LTE in the box. And what I would like to do, I would like Ishai to speak a little bit more about the smarts, the nuances, the caveats of LTE in the box, and why this holistic view of network makes sense.
Thank you, Alex. Just to go back a little bit for the previous point that you mentioned about interference mitigation, I think the main point of doing a good interference mitigation is by avoiding it. And the ability of LTE and implementation that Telrad did on the carrier aggregation allows you to mitigate the interference by avoiding it. So by the fact that you're taking 2 different channels, one let's say in the upper band, one in the lower band, and using them together, combining it as a carrier aggregation, not only you get immunity in case of one of the channel is suffering from interference, you also have the ability to not use adjacent 40 megahertz in order to reach the capacity that is needed sometimes. So that is a very good approach in interference mitigation, beside of other algorithms that we implemented in order to have interference mitigation. Now, moving to the concept of what we call the LTE in a box, and what we did, we actually put a dedicated hardware within the base station. So we didn't went with the approach of having a software APC. We actually have a network acceleration unit inside the box that it's a daughter card on top of the base station hardware, and that allows you to segregate the traffic and not impacting on one hand the base station capacity, and on the other end, because the interface between the EPC and the eNode B is on the same box, then there is high reliability. So all the S1, all those LTE signaling effectively are not being transparent to the external world, which means that you just need to bring, if you look on the picture and you see PDN, WW, it's mean that the network is connected directly to the base station, which means that in the end of the day, you can look at it that each box that we are deploying is a private LTE network by itself. And that gives you the ability and the flexibility if needed to work with external EPC for some functions that all well, but the embedded EPC within the box saves a lot of headache, and it's assured that LTE doesn't suffer any jitter because of any backhaul limitations that come into the LTE and may impact the LTE traffic. So with that, without view, what we did, we actually packed everything into a very, on one end, economic, and on the other end, very efficient way of deploying a base station. That combined with our management solution that incorporate not only, and we have a slide on that, and we will show the importance of it, because we are the only one in the LTE who provide the holistic view of the channel. It means that in the LTE, the data of AUE is distributed between the MME, P gateway, S gateway, HSS, eNode B, all those elements are, and the UE itself. So all those elements, someone needs to bring together and correlate into an holistic view of the network. And this is exactly what we have done with our management solution, and one of the key benefits. And this is why we went further and integrated the ACS into Telrad management solution, the Breeze View.
Awesome, thank you, Ishai. So we already began seeing some questions, and we're going to be answering them, since some of it going to be answered during the slides, some of it we're just going to answer at the end. So to talk a little bit more about highlights for Telrad, for what we offer, and so please hang on. Some answers will be coming in the upcoming slides. So first of all, it's a 4x4 radio. So 4x4 radio in our vision means that you can take those MIMO streams and deliver services differently. We can change the form, we can change the capacity, we can enable beamforming. And when we say about beamforming, we don't mean a switched beam where you have two streams attached to a static two antennas and then another two streams attached to another static antenna. We're talking about digital beamforming. So in real time. So this is state-of-the-art technology, something that was implemented years ago and still state-of-the-art today. So each base station is capable of supporting up to 40 megahertz channel. What it means, 40 is really two 20s, and what it really means is we can do two 5s, two 10s, two 15s, or two 20s, and those can be non-contiguous. So, for example, compared to traditional Wi-Fi systems or LTE-like systems, when you present a capacity, they usually present 40 megahertz over a contiguous single channel. When we say 40, it can be non-contiguous. Literally, you can have a 20 megahertz sitting somewhere in the 5.1 range, another 20 megahertz sitting somewhere in 5.7, 5.8 range. So this is one of the differences. So total aggregate capacity up to 200 megabits per second, assuming 40 megahertz channel. So base station is available in 2 flavors, integrated, connectorized. So a connectorized unit looks and feels very similar. It's our compact 1000 chassis. We have thousands of them deployed globally. So again, you get something that is reliable, quality, life and experience proven product. One of the things that Ishai mentioned that is extremely important is embedded evolved packet core. This basically proved to be a invaluable part of our gear, where you can have a single standalone LTE node where you don't have to figure out the quality of the backhauls that go between the base stations and the EPC. You can terminate user traffic right there, just like you would be deploying a traditional Wi-Fi or proprietary system. And then something else, something that other systems don't offer is, since LTE is a layer 3 transport, natively layer 3 transport, it's all routed. Sometimes you do want to terminate public IP address to a customer premises. What do you do? How do you do that? So Telrad over time developed layer 2 capabilities, and where you don't have to use third-party equipment to carry over layer 2 traffic over a layer 3 network. So for us, it's all within the software. So as long as you use our EPC or our base station with embedded EPC and one of our subscriber units, you can just enable layer 2 services and terminate public IP address right there at the customer premises. One of the features that is stepping into our vision, future vision, is a concept of multi-band approach, where we see that a single band solution is good, it's important, but in the fight and marathon to higher throughputs, more capacities, and so on, you always run out of frequency. This is the unfortunate reality. So obviously things like frequency reuse comes in. It's an important topic, but again, you can be only as efficient as you can. Higher order of modulation is important, but your distances become very short. So what we see is really augmenting one band into 2 bands. So concept comes from 5G, where you can aggregate channels from completely different frequency bands. And we see 5 gigahertz with the base station chaining becoming a big part of it, where you can combine different frequency bands, like CBRS with 5 gigahertz, or like EBS with 5 gigahertz, and so on. So another important aspect is obviously, again, you're dealing with RF, and it's unpredictable. Moreover, if you're dealing an unlicensed frequency band, is built-in spectrum analyzer is important. You do need to know what you're dealing with. If it's a high noise environment, maybe you need to, like Ishai mentioned earlier, the best way to deal with interference is to avoid it. So if you can have a real-time quality picture of your spectrum and understanding what you're dealing with, maybe you're going to select a better lower noise channels. Ishai, do you want to talk a little bit more about the spectrum analyzer?
Yes, so thank you, Alex. I would say the benefit of the spectrum analyzer that we developed is that we developed 2 different modes of spectrum analyzer. One, that it is a runtime information that can show you, there are 2 modes. One is the maximum hold that shows you the maximum level of interference, and that can be done per antenna, and also it can be done per resource block of the LTE. So the LTE depends on the bandwidth that you transmit. Let's take 20 megahertz, for example. You have in 20 megahertz, you have 100 RBs. So we can show per RB the maximum noise level that appears. That allows us to plan better in terms of scheduling and other technique that we're doing how to mitigate the interference. But that can give you, as an operator, the ability to know, okay, if I see that in this 20 megahertz channel, I have a lot of interference, and you can see the RBs that it's allocated, then you can plan your strategy better for the deployment and improve it. And another key importance of it is that the spectrum analyzer that you see is the spectrum analyzer that it's within the base station with the same height, with the same azimuth and tilt. It's not an offline tool, or it's not some information that from a spectrum analyzer that it's near the site. It's exactly what you see on the site. So on one end, you will see exactly what is there, but on the other end, you can also go to an offline mode and activate a full scan. And you can scan all the 5 gigahertz frequency to find the best match that in terms of frequency slice that can be used and less interfered than the other. So those are two tools. When they combine, they can provide a very powerful information about the channels and how to plan and to move between interference to a non-interfere environment.
Yep, thank you, Shai. So, so moving forward, LTE natively coming from a mobile world. In mobile world, carriers don't really care, unfortunately, about the quality of the link to their customers. What they care is if they can deliver voice. Is the link good enough to deliver voice? The data is a secondary. That means that LTE subscriber units natively do not report their signals. However, in order for us to achieve, to understand the quality of the signal, we don't look in just, okay, what's my signal strength, like Wi-Fi systems do. We have to, some of the information is on the CPE, some of the information is located at the EPC level, some of the information located at the base station level, and we have to go and get it and grab it and then tabulate it to customers in one coherent, proper view. So that gives us this holistic understanding of your network. LTE, unlike Wi-Fi or proprietary technologies, and this is one to answer one of the, Jim asked a question, what's the difference between, let's say, a Wi-Fi based LTE system versus an LTE system. There are quite a few differences. You're still dealing with Wi-Fi, which means you're still dealing with nuances that Wi-Fi system presents. In LTE world, you can deliver a lot of bandwidth even to a bad subscriber. And I mean a lot of bandwidth. So now that bandwidth will be at the sacrifice of a sector, the rest of the sector. So you do want to find those customers and possibly maybe put a bigger gain antenna, maybe realign the subscriber, maybe put them on the lower package. So, but this is the nuance of the LTE. You can deliver a lot of, I mean, for us, a 25 meg customer can operate at neg 105 for Telrad. I mean, that's some difference, for example, between other systems. Normal Wi-Fi based technologies will max out around neg 80. So you have to be cognizant of your network. Yes, LTE gives you a lot more room to do things, but it's not to be abused. So again, go back to the holistic view. It allows us to present you a picture of this is what's happening on your sectors. And if you identify a CPE that maybe, as I call them, bad apples, that's operating not at most optimal SNR levels, to take action, to make sure that you maximize your resources and provide good quality bandwidth to the rest of the subscribers in the sector. Telrad solutions advantages for unlicensed frequency band. So Ishai, do you wanna speak up a little bit more about the resource blocks and near null line of sight capabilities?
Sure, thank you, Alex. So I would say the Telrad solution is rely on LTE, and LTE was a standard that was based mainly for outdoor deployment. One would claim, okay, it was, but it's for mobility. What Telrad did is actually taking the LTE and make it a fixed broadband wireless deployment. We invested in the scheduler, in all the algorithm that can do that. So on one end, we enjoy from the underlying technology, and on the other end, all the improvement that Telrad did, contributing to the fact that we can achieve a better result in near line of sight and in non-line of sight. And one of the examples of the LTE that is contributing is the longer cyclic prefix, which allow from a distance point of view to the signal to come, and even though it's a far signal, then still the window to receive the signal is a bit longer, and therefore we can hear it even from a distance, or even if there is a multipath or there is some obstacle in the way. The 15 kilohertz, another good example, is the symbol within LTE. The size of them allow us better what we called interference between the block to be better immune and better resistant to interference. So all in all, and the fact that LTE is geared to work in better environment, lower SINR and CNR, the fact that we have the non-contiguous channel with carrier aggregation, and the scheduling together with the mature radio, all that contributing to the fact that the LTE solution is better geared to work in conditions that are near line of sight, all the stuff that we proved them already in the 3.65, and now we're just bringing them back to the 5 gigahertz.
Yep. So don't forget to mention about the frequency selective scheduling, the concept that was developed in-house by our engineers to usually interference. So yes, sure, some interferences across the band, full, and so on. Since we operate at resource block levels, we look at interference per resource block. So in our view, because the resolution is so much finer, we see interference maybe only occupying part of the channel for us. So what we did, essentially, we've implemented a concept called frequency selective scheduler, where we will allocate resource blocks to unique subscriber units in real time that are further away from the interference. So the concept is unique. Again, no other system does it. You do have to have a lot of processing capability to be able to, to compute that in real time. But this is something that, again, gives us the ability to operate in very challenging RF conditions. And often systems, at the moment you start hitting interference, sector capacity starts suffering, which means throughput, number of users, which means often you would think, okay, I need to deploy more base stations. More base stations raise noise floor even further. So that's why we often say more is not always better. Let's step back from this traditional mindset. Let's go into the LTE mode where fewer base stations can serve more customers. It's all about quality bandwidth. So that brings us into our deployment models. There are 4 different ways you can deploy Telrad 5 gigahertz base station. In some low density markets, one base station can serve 2 different geographic areas. One of the comments, for example, was a little bit earlier today that base station has N connectors. It looks old. Yes, I respect, this is an opinion, but this base station, each of those 2 connectors can have its own 100 megabits per second capacity, and it can serve independent up to 128 active users. Yes, can you actually serve 128? No, you're probably gonna run out of capacity. But each of those pairs can be its own standalone sectors. So you can build a full proper 4-sector tower with n equals 2 frequency reuse with only 2 base stations. So this is where the connectorized system comes into play. Sure, it looks old, but I cannot. I mean, I disagree. In some eyes, it may look old, but this is just a standard N connector that does the job exactly how it's supposed to do. In a near non-line of sight environments, we can enable transmit mode 4, where we send same data twice. Think of it shotgun approach, where you just mathematically increase probability of same data reaching that user by 2 different paths. When we listen on all 4 MIMO channels. That's where those 4 RF ports come in, regardless if they are external, connectorized, exposed connectors, or integrated in one chassis with integrated 65-degree antenna. So I mean, there are interesting reasons and purpose for each of those RF connectors. Carrier aggregation, peak throughput. Now you can combine each of those carriers, each of those payloads into one. So if you are looking for 100 by 20 service, suddenly obtaining 20 megahertz from one portion of the 5 gigahertz and another portion of 5 gigahertz non-contiguous will give you this full magic 40 megahertz number. So again, something interesting. You don't see it from other technologies. Generally, they will say, yeah, we need 40 megahertz. We need 80 megahertz. Well, where do you get 80 megahertz in unlicensed frequency band? Contiguous. So, I mean, sure, there will be places where it's available, but in the real world, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. And obviously, the last feature that we're bringing this summer is base station chaining. And again, going back into our vision, where you combine licensed or lightly licensed frequency band with 5 gigahertz unlicensed, so-called augmenting your primary frequency band. So again, you need 40 megahertz. How do you get it? You can grab 20 megahertz from CBRS and 20 megahertz from 5 gigahertz. Name me another technology today that allows you to do that is still affordable to offer fixed wireless service. I challenge you for that. So I'm not ignorant. I know there are a few things involved, but they have to be reasonably priced, right? Just like it's the same conversation like we're having with MIMO. Massive MIMO is a great concept, but is it useful for fixed wireless deployments or deployments in the rural near non-line of sight markets geography? So what we have, what Telrad has, as I like to say it, and Ishai hates it for some reasons, even though he drives one of those cars, is what Telrad has. We have a Wrangler for an off-road, Jeep Wrangler for an off-road. Plain and simple, we have a purpose-built tool for a particular application of delivering quality bandwidth to a challenging customers, and we do it better than other technologies or products available. So, Ishai, do you want to talk a little bit about some of those case studies?
Yes, thank you, Alex. So we took the system and tested it in few areas of the world, globally spread. So what we did, one of our first partner named Ursis in Australia, they were looking for a solution that is a non-line of sight. And if you can see the shed or the building that was used, it's built out of fiberglass and metal. So the environment is challenging. And you don't see in this picture, but they went further and actually put it inside the office, and they continued the testing. And their main thing was to get a non-line of sight condition. And this is where we actually perform better than any solution that they're actually have seen. And that's why they selected Telrad to be their partner in going forward as an integrator and sell this equipment to mines and to other vertical opportunities that they see in Australia in the rural areas. Alex, you can talk about Mika.
Sure. Mika is one of our good customers in US. It's a service provider that is MSO that spreads across a number of states. Same thing, they have challenges just like any other service provider. The question is, what do you do to overcome those challenges? They also understand that single band approach may not necessarily, it can get you somewhere, but it might not necessarily get you to the finish line with the amount of bandwidth that is needed and the quality of bandwidth that is needed. So a lot of concepts we do run by these guys. We brainstorm some of the ideas that work with them. We do often ask, obviously, our other customers and listen for feedback, including mounting brackets, for example. Market provided us feedback that mounting brackets are not adequate. Okay, immediately action was taken and it was addressed. Somewhat quicker, somewhat might not be as fast, but regardless, Mika has quite significant size networks, and now they're augmenting it with 5 gigahertz LTE to give them extra bandwidth and extra capacity in areas where it's needed, where one frequency is just not going to deliver. When you have customers, and it's not just applicable to these guys, it's everywhere. When every customer is line of sight customer and it's easy customer, sure, there are technologies that are there that do phenomenal job. And Wi-Fi 11 AC does phenomenal job. The amount of bandwidth that it can deliver to a line of sight customer, but unfortunately, not every customer is line of sight. And that's where the challenges come in, and you start looking into, okay, what do I do? How do I capture more customers? And again, often it boils down to what's my customer acquisition rate, conversion rate. Out of 5 leads, what do you get? 1 customer, 20% typically on Wi-Fi and proprietary systems. That's the standard average and kind of what you look at. The question is, how do you take that model and flip it upside down and say, I want 4 of those leads to become my customers? And that's where the LTE comes in and gives you that flexibility and freedom. Visionary is another one of the customers of ours. They do have actually a number of networks running with Telrad, and since we began shipping unlicensed, they began augmenting their CBRS system, 3 gig system with 5 gigahertz. And again, another success story. Sure, not without the challenges, but we listen to our customers and we take the feedback and bring it back into the group and see how it can be overcome. But one frequency solution, it can take you somewhere, but it's not going to take you over the finish line. And again, you have non-line of sight customers. You got near line of sight customers. Can you minimize number of infrastructure nodes and deliver same or better quality of service? So on that note, we don't have any more slides. And I tried to answer some of those questions along the line. Some of them were showing up and then disappearing. I'm not sure what was happening, but I kind of was glancing at them.
Some of them, Alex. Some of them I answered while you were speaking.
That explains why they were disappearing. All right, sounds good. I thought people were just getting upset at me. So yeah. So anyway, so it's not just one reason what makes us different, and why. Are we for every customer? No, we're not. We obviously would like to earn your business, but it starts with a conversation. It starts with a dialogue, and every customer is different. Every market is different. You may have same customer may have 2 different geographies. So let's talk. Let's understand if Telrad is the right solution for you. And often you'll hear directly from us steering you towards some of our competitors. And just because of our experience, and Bernie kind of hit it correctly. I mean, between between the people that are on our team, we have a lot of experience. And last thing we want to do is sell you product that does not do the job or doesn't do it good enough. And people appreciate it. And the results speak louder than words. And that's why we were able to turn the company around, show profit, and double our revenue. It couldn't be done without our customers, without Waves, and without other distributors of ours. Everybody plays its role, and we appreciate it. And that's kind of how we would like to continue doing our business, to being a good neighbor and phenomenal technology provider. And that's about it. So any additional questions that you guys might have, we would like to answer. We still have a few minutes.
Alex,
Well,
if you want, we can.
Go ahead, Yishai.
Alex, if you want, we can review some of the questions that were published. Some of them you already answered, but some of them maybe it will be good to just to repeat for. I think everybody can see it, but maybe you just want to emphasize it. So the first question was, what is the quantity of CPEs each base station support? So my answer was that we're supporting 120 per carrier.
Correct. So there is obviously, just like any other technology, you have the maximums, right? So the MAC table limitation is 128, if I remember correctly, right? To be precise. But at the end of the day, it's not what's the maximum. The question is, what is realistic? And I take it a step further, and I always say, good customer. It's not about having a customer served on the sector. It's a good customer. That someone who is happy with the service that you are providing. And the only time when they're happy is when you're maintaining the minimum installation thresholds, where you're maintaining your oversubscription ratios and so on. So 20 megahertz carrier. So remember, each base station is a dual carrier system. So let's talk about the basic. Each 20 megahertz carrier is able to accommodate 40 to 60 happy customers. Now, by enabling second carrier, you can either double number of users, subscribers for that base station, you can double their packages, or have a blend of those, so be somewhere in the middle. Now, in case if you move into 100 by 20 service, it's also possible, but your oversubscription model changes. And I don't want to take time from this presentation. It's a completely separate topic. So, but if you guys are interested, let's take it offline, reach out to us. We have the information, we have the proper slides that show you how you achieve 100 by 20 service, if, again, you are interested. Yeah, I mean, these numbers are pretty phenomenal. And believe me, not every customer is line of sight customers when we're talking about 40 to 60. Usually you see Telrad always overlaid with something else, like a line of sight technology. And those easy customers usually put on line of sight, the short range, and then more challenging left to Telrad. So yeah, it's something to be proud of. So any other action items that we should cover?
There was another question about the difference between the Breezy 100 and the Compact 1000, which I think you covered in the slide of the topologies and deployment models.
Yep, so one is integrated, one is connectorized. So integrated unit, all self-contained, all inclusive, so it makes it easy to deploy. One unit goes in the tower. Differences, obviously, for people that have never used Telrad is, it's a carrier class gear, so make sure that you do have quality negative 48 volts power. It's important. It's very important. If you don't have a good power at the tower site, make sure you purchase our power supplies or have some kind of a rectifier. But that's really about it. There is no equipment difference in terms of quality of bandwidth between U100 and Compact 1000. It's the same baseband, same RF. It's just different implementation with connectors, just like any other piece of hardware.
There is another one, Jim, who left, got burned by a premature buy-sell gear. They sound like a similar jargon. Hardware with N connectors, look out of date. Sorry, no interest. So
Yeah,
maybe
but
I'm also
this
to
is the
talk
unfortunate
about
reality of the new ones. And buy-sell is not exactly a bad piece of hardware, right? It's also they got their niche and it serves customers well if it's used and implemented correctly. But they do have a drawback. The FDD system needs two channels, one to TX, one to RX. Nothing wrong with that if it's done correctly, right? But in unlicensed frequency band, for us, I'm sorry?
And if you have the frequency.
And if you have the frequency, exactly. For us, if you add second channel, you can literally double capacity of that sector, not continue offering same 100 meg. So again, nothing wrong with that. It's just different philosophy of how you serve the customers, and we feel TDD system is the better way. Oh, by the way, we do have equipment available today for shipping. We are running a promotion right now in the US for one base station, 20 CPEs. We're throwing in a lot of free licenses of about worth of little over than $4,000 worth of licenses for a one base station, 20 CPEs. We do want you guys to try it. And pilot it and challenge us what we're what we're presenting to you today, sharing with you today. Challenge your perception and baseline. I was also skeptical. And when you do this kind of stuff for so many years, you become a little bit skeptical. Not to be snobby, but I did not believe some of the results that our engineers were presenting until they were able to replicate it time and time and time again. And then our customers, without our engineers, were able to achieve quite amazing results. So, I thought I've seen a lot, but, I haven't sold unlicensed in quite a few years. And so you obviously lose touch with the reality. And again, one of the reasons why, and we feel Bernie is going to be extremely important to our team is his background. A lot of it comes from unlicensed world, and we need someone who is not Alex, who is not Ishai, who has a different set of experiences and can complement the team, and we already feel the impact. Yep. On that note,
Alex, just one comment. The promotion that we're running is not only in North America, is globally. So from any region that they want to purchase or to participate in the promotion, that's open for ROW as well.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, Ishai. So if you guys need any more information, a lot of it is available online, telrad.com. We just recently uploaded the podcast, joint podcast with Wave, and as well as one of our customers from Arizona. So same thing, it's available online if you would like to listen. We are available to answer your questions, and we try. So if you need a quote, we can definitely make sure it happens through Wave sales team. They could quickly put it together and present it to you. And as I mentioned, the equipment is available for sale now, so zero lead times.
Alex, another question about Mario deployed Cambium ePMP in multipoint. Is using some CPEs with external antenna, and they're connecting 45 kilometers to 50 kilometers from the base station. The question if this is feasible with Telrad as well.
Well, line of sight, you can do a lot of distance. I think 45 kilometers is the MAC limitation for LTE, right? Or 60 kilometers. What did we do?
We can do 60, and we can do with the LTE a little bit even more if needed. Yeah.
Yeah, but Mario, do we recommend doing this kind of stuff? Sure. I mean, if it makes sense to you, but generally, you want to balance your cells. You want to make sure that they're reasonable. But line of sight, we're still operating within the same limitations of the FCC in case of United States, for example, right? So just like with Cambium's gear, so you have 4 watts IRP and upper 5 gig, and sure, line of sight signal will travel that far. Is it useful? Is it something that you want to do often? Because I always steer customers, it has to make business sense. I mean, with Telrad, you do want to make sure you have about 20, 30 customers per sector minimum. And if you're going to have all customers or some customers in distance of 20, 30 kilometers out, that will impact how many customers that sector will support and will accommodate. So just, as long as it makes sense to you, sure, we could cover that distance as well. Anything else? Wave, Jamie, did you want to add anything?
No, nothing to add. I did see Mario just responded. He says, I understand is better small cell deployment, but this is a rural area in Central America, and it is not possible to do small cells because of geography. It is not for internet, it is for corporate network. So before I close, did you have any additional thoughts there, Alex?
Yeah, so Mario, the short answer is yes. We can do it. We can go that distance. That's not the concern. It's just the final quality of service that you can deliver if it's adequate to a customer. That's really going to be my question. Is it good enough?
Yeah. And what I suggest is, Mario, if we can touch base after the webinar and look exactly on the details, and maybe we have some suggestion, and maybe we can solve the issue together. So please reach out to us, and we will be happy to touch base with you and discuss it and run some, I would say, some radio network planning exercise and provide you with the best approach that we think will solve the connectivity.
Absolutely. And really that goes for anyone on the call today. If you have any specific questions, sometimes you sit in on a webinar and there's something you think about after the fact, please do not hesitate to reach out to the group at Telrad. Don't hesitate to reach out to Wave. Again, our focus is partnering with you guys, helping to grow your business, making sure that we're setting you up for success. So with that, I want to thank you all for taking the time to be on this webinar with us. I want to thank Alex and Bernie and Yishai, Taryn, the entire Telrad crew for taking the time and for your interest and your help here with regards to that. I think it was very beneficial and much appreciated.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep. Take care, all.